Hey, so in this video, we're going to go through how to scale a financial advisory business. So in order to scale a financial advisory business, you need to do a whole lot of things. But when I looked at a lot of other advisors over the years and seen what they shouldn't have done and what works really, really well, it really comes down to 4 questions that you need to be able to answer for yourself in order to first start it to scale and then continue to scale your financial advisory business. So I'm going to go through those 4 questions in this video. Before we even jump into the questions, you need to answer the question, like, what is scaling? I feel like there's a whole lot of different definitions here. And when you talk about scaling, sometimes the conversation kind of goes around a lot of places because the language isn't the same. So in its simplest form, when you want to scale your financial advisory business, you're really trying to duplicate yourself. Now, that doesn't mean put a bunch of advisors underneath you and they all kind of run their own thing and there's no really rhyme or reason and you just have a bunch of sales advisors underneath you. That's not scaling. Scaling is duplicating yourself, but more than likely yourself and your staff. And so if you have staff that support you, you want to duplicate yourself, well, you're duplicating yourself and the staff underneath you. So you're duplicating that process, that structure over and over and over again. So now that we have the definition out of the way, let's get to the questions. So number 1, if scaling is duplicating yourself, you need to answer the question, are you duplicatable? I know that's not necessarily a word, but are you duplicatable? And what does that mean? That means, are your processes so ironed out within your sales process to where somebody can come in and within maybe a couple months know exactly how to do what you do? Meaning, like, what do you do in your first appointment? The questions you ask, the papers that you show, the fact checkers, all the different papers that you show to the client, and that full process in the first, second, and third appointments, is it all ironed out to where it's basically paint by numbers? So somebody can come in, sit with you for a couple months, and then they know exactly what to do. And the problems that arise is usually an advisor is like, oh yeah, I have everything ironed out, that I've been doing this for years. They just need to watch me for a little while. Well, the problem is that the person coming in does not have your personality. So if a lot of your sales process is based on your charisma, your sales skills, and you might pivot quite a bit during the process, that's not duplicatable because they can't do exactly what you do. You need to have everything ironed out, whether it's bullet points and questions that you cover in the first, bullet points and questions that you cover in the second, when you do the close, when you ask for the business, what paperwork do you show them, what illustrations, what software, all those things need to be ironed out and paint by numbers in order for you to be duplicatable. So you need to answer that question, number 1. So you've got the processes built, you've got your processes, everything's duplicatable, right? Everything's paint by numbers, ready to go. Now the question number 2 is, who do you hire? Do you hire a sales advisor first? Do you hire a service advisor first? Do you hire your office staff first? Those are the questions that you need to answer for yourself. Where do you feel like you should go first? Now, I don't believe there's really a right or wrong answer here. It really depends on where your strengths are and what you want to continue doing as you scale your business. Now, as you're being duplicatable, you're going to end up having to hire all the same people that you have right now as you duplicate the process. But who do you hire first is probably the most important thing to answer. Now, if it's going to be a sales advisor, meaning you want to duplicate yourself as a sales advisor, then you need to be ready to service more clients or have ability to service more clients as you bring on that sales advisor. My first suggestion, for the most part, and it really just depends, but most of the time, it's easier to hire a service advisor, meaning somebody that's actually not going to be sitting in first appointments and trying to bring on new clients or bring on new prospects. A service advisor allows you, as the main advisor, to meet and sell more and continue your revenue stream and bring on new clients. And then the service advisor can take a lot more off your plate by servicing those current clients, loving on them, and they don't have the stress of having to push and make more sales. So number 1 is, who do you hire first in order to be duplicatable? Number 3, are you able to double your lead flow? So as you hire and you duplicate yourself, whether you brought in the sales advisor and you brought in the service advisor, so now you've got this structure underneath you to where you are duplicating your process, your business, and you're duplicating it over and over. Are you able to double your lead flow? And why does doubling your lead flow matter? Well, if you can't fill your sales advisors or your other advisors or your own calendar up when you take away a lot of things off your plate, if you can't double and continue that lead flow up, your advisors are going to get bored. And bored advisors are destructive advisors, meaning they're going to start to take a look around. They're going to start to push on, new business and processes and try to tweak things and change things that you've already created, and that's destructive. You need to be able to keep their calendars full and your own calendar full in order to keep that revenue flowing, because these other advisors are not going to close as well as you are. They're not going to be able to bring on the prospects and clients that you are able to do on a continuous basis, at least in the beginning. So you need to be able to bring on a lot more lead flow. So is your marketing structured to where you can just press a button and add more, whether that's seminars and you can do more nights, or is that TV and you can increase the lead flow by maybe getting on a different station, or radio on a different station, or whatever else your marketing is? Are you able to double that lead flow? Press a button, spend more money, and get more lead flow. Because if you can't, then it's going to be very hard to keep your advisors' calendars full. Question number 4. Do you have the operations and processes to where when you hire someone on, that they can train without you even being there? And what does that mean? Now, do you have a system in place to where they can come in and watch videos or read a book or read a manual, to where they can come in and within a month or two, they're being trained basically by the processes that you've written out, and they don't even necessarily need you to train them, or they don't necessarily need somebody on your office staff to train them. Maybe they train them for a week or two, but hey, here's the manual, here's our digital trainual that you can learn from and be trained on. So if you don't have all this stuff written out, it's going to be very hard to hire and scale quickly. And you can still scale, but you're going to be building the processes out as you go, because that person's going to come in and say, I don't know how to do this. How do I do that? And you're going to be kind of building processes as you go. And that's much slower than if you were to just build it when they're not there. And then that way, when they come in, you can hand them, hey, here's our training. We'll sit with you for a few weeks. But after that, you've got the training ready to rock, and you can move on with your business, and you can move on with your job as you grow. So do you have these processes built out to where you can hire and train without even being there? So that would be number 4. So those are your 4 questions in order to scale your business. I know there's a whole lot inside of all of those, but as you grow and scale your business, you need to be able to answer those 4 questions. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. Make sure you hit subscribe for more videos to come out by The Proven Way. I got plenty of more value that's coming your way. We're going to be posting videos every single week, as much as we can, on value out to you for marketing, business tips, leadership tips, sales tips on how you can be the best financial advisor you can be.